We're very, very close now from the midterm election coming up here on November 4th. And recently we held a pair of candidate forums here in Becker County. And I've actually had a lot of people ask me over the last couple weeks why we vote for certain offices here in Becker County, or curious as to why we continue to vote for some of those offices. Now, I think a lot of people understand seats like the county commissioner's seat, seats like the city council seats, citizen politicians, citizen legislative leaders is kind of the idea behind that. But the three offices I'm looking at specifically that I've heard the most questions about are three that maybe you have questions about as well. Those would be the Becker County Sheriff's position, the Becker County Recorder's position, and the Becker County Auditor Treasurer's position. A lot of people wondering, why do we vote for these things? Well, I'll tell you why historically these are elected positions here in the state of Minnesota, and then you can make a decision whether or not you think we should continue to have them to be elected positions. Frankly, I would like to keep them as elected positions. I believe it gives more power to the people, but I digress. I know some people might feel differently about that. Let's start with the Becker County Recorder's Office. Now, the Recorder's general role is to draw the lines and to keep track of property sales and where the borders are on different pieces of property. The reason this is an elected position is because you needed somebody honest at that position, somebody that wouldn't draw the lines in favor of the good old boys club, his buddy, or his own personal interest, or somebody that would only keep property available for themselves or their friends. Now, I'm not saying these things have happened in the past here, but they have happened in the past in other parts of Minnesota. That is why the Becker County Recorder's Office, or the Recorder's Office in many counties, unless they have decided as a county commission to change the way their county structure is set up, is a voted on position. The ideal was you wanted somebody honest there that would make sure all land transactions are done honestly and borders are drawn honestly. With GPS and other technology today, maybe it's not as needed to be an elected position, but that's why we vote for our recorder. Auditor Treasurer is another one that I've heard a lot of people ask about. Well, the Auditor Treasurer acts as a financial check to our Becker County Board of Commissioners or to the Board of Commissioners of anyone. We elect that person who puts together the financial notes and all the figures for the county commission. And the reason it's an elected position, again, when you had a lot more paperwork, not as much computers, you had a lot more people that needed to be honest. It would have been too easy to be fraudulent on those types of things. And you wanted it to be an elected position, so it wouldn't be just some crony or some buddy, somebody on the county commission or somebody on some commission level like that would rubber stamp all finances. The Auditor Treasurer is a little bit of a watchdog for the people's money and the way the county commission spends it. That is why that is an elected position. It's a reason why I'd like to keep an elected position, although it's been talked about at times to become an appointed position here in Becker County. And now I go to the Sheriff's Office. This is the one that's hotly contested here in Becker County. Well, a lot of people might wonder, why do we want a politician in charge of our law enforcement? Well, this again goes back to the late 1800s, back when you didn't have as much computers, as much technology. You needed a sheriff that was honest. You needed a sheriff that was appointed. The early sheriffs that came to these western frontiers didn't have training. They were cutting their badges out of tin cans and putting them on them. So you needed somebody that was honest, that was good with the people, that was elected by the people to represent the people and enforce the laws the people wanted. We all know cow towns had red light districts, which have never been legal in many of those western states. But things like this were the reason. Plus, at least in the late 1800s, the sheriff was responsible for collecting county taxes. Again, you wanted somebody honest there. So I still think even in the modern day, though, we should be electing our sheriffs. And the reason I say that is because the people should ultimately have a say in who's appointed to some of these positions that affect so much of the county. Huge budget, huge issue. And at least when it comes to the sheriff's office, I've heard people say, again, why do we want to elect the leader of the sheriff's office? Why do we want a politician in charge of the head law enforcement agency for Becker County? Well, that's like saying, why do we want a jury of 12 peers deciding the fate of somebody in a criminal prosecution case? Some people, you know, you've got the 12 people, they're average people, reasonable argument. They vote whether somebody's guilty or innocent. Why can't we vote who's the one that's going to be enforcing the laws and regulating the laws? Now, I know people's concern that some people don't take the time to be informed enough about the candidates, that it becomes a popularity contest. This is a risk factor. However, I still like the system we have because it provides some checks and balances for you and I as citizens. And I like to keep it that way. But it's a discussion that we should be able to have if we want here in Becker County.